All right, Rob. So believe all women or what?
Not every time. I need a little more context personally when it comes to whatever.
I think regardless,
accusation it is.
yeah, I think regardless of accusation, I think we've now get to the stage with the couple stuff coming out where we should let all the facts play out before we judge.
You mean guilty until proven innocent? Is that?
Yeah, we should be innocent until proven guilty, right? Not like,
all the time.
But the way it is, like you said, guilty until proven innocent, right? And you never. In some of those accusations, you're never going to be innocent, even if you prove you're innocent, right? Yep. So, and
especially
today,
if you're a celebrity.
Yeah, and today we're talking about Bauer, right?
Trevor Bauer, to be exact.
Trevor Bauer, and then Lindsey Hill, right? The woman who put the accusation out there that she was abused by him.
Yeah, first, Trevor Bauer is a former L.A.
Dodgers pitcher.
Quarterback, pitcher.
Quarterback,
pitcher.
Pitcher.
Same position.
Yeah. And he's been, ever since the accusation came out and stuff, he's now not back in ML. He got suspended, and he's out in Japan, playing in Japan.
This was a year ago, right?
2 years.
2021.
Yeah, 2 years
This accusation came out.
Yep.
On domestic violence, basically, right?
Yeah. So basically, she came out with the domestic violence that he abused her, and then this has been going on for 2 years, right? I think the judge threw out the case, right, because the evidence was weak. She said. And then he went to sue her for, defamation, and she went back to countersue him, and that's been going on now. And that has recently been settled with him not paying anything, but she getting an insurance payout for it, which I still need to get. What insurance is that?
Yeah, I mean, what kind of insurance will pay you out for that?
$300,000, I think, right?
Yeah.
And so she's
so as far as what happened to Trevor Bauer after these accusations came out, number one, he gets suspended by his team.
Yep.
Number two, the MLB decides to kick him out of the league while the trial was still going on.
Yep.
Got kicked out of the league.
Yep.
I don't know 100% sure, or I don't know 100% if he was still getting paid, if his contract was guaranteed, even though he wasn't playing. Yeah. And then because of all that, he then couldn't come back to the major leagues, and then he had to go to Japan to continue his career.
Yep, exactly. And then again, like I said, the judge threw it out.
Female judge
threw it out because it didn't have evidence there for her. And then on top of that, then it became to these 2 years going through the civil suit where he sued her, then she countersued him, which has been going on, and it just got settled now. Like I mentioned, the insurance company paying out to her. He's not paying anything else out, but the settlement came together because they started getting to discovery phase, and they got their hands on some evidence that was not that her side did not submit, right, or she was hiding from him, and then there's some text messages that he's getting his hands on, and it didn't put it in the best of light for her. So I think it was one of the reasons, team settled, right? So some of these is like Trevor Bauer, we can probably put a link down, but he released a video reviewing all this, right? It's been 2 years. He can finally talk about it, he said. And
the whole thing, the whole time this was going on, he'd been accused. He couldn't say a word about it. He couldn't discuss it, I'm sure, because his lawyers talked about it. So he's hearing all these people talk about his name and all that stuff, and he can't defend himself because of the court procedure still being gathered.
Yep, exactly. So some of the texts that have come out recently, they show here, if I pull it up here. So I think he starts out with saying she texted her friend saying the next victim,
And this was before they even talked or met. So predated to when she's just, I would say, looking for a target.
Yeah, and she's like, next victim, star pitcher for the Dodgers, which is him, right? So Lindsey Hill sent this text to a friend before she ever met him, right? And she said, what should I steal? Referencing visiting his house for the first time. The answer she got was take money. So how might that work? I'm going to his house on Wednesday. She said, I already have my hooks in. You know how I roll.
So she slid in his DMs, caught her eye, and they just started communicating from there. How easy is it for a regular girl to get a celebrity like that?
Well, I mean, that's the other thing with these celebrities, the access they have as well to this random girls have to these celebrities nowadays, right? So, yeah, it's crazy.
If you're a dude, can you slide up in Rihanna's DMs and hit her up and get a response back?
It's not worked that way, Rob. No. It's only one way around, right? Yeah. So, because they have these groups where like these people are searching for athletes and like entertainers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they go on these hunts, like are they dating somebody, whatever. Right? They have, I think, these groups that are like.
Are you talking about dating apps like Raya? I think that's one, right?
Maybe it's a dating app. I think it's like an actual like group, maybe I don't know, it's a Reddit or some kind of group or chat or something where they're like trying to hunt these guys down, right? To lock down. And it seems like she may have been part of that, looking, found everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she goes, I already have my hooks in. You know how I roll. Then after the first time we met, she said, she texted her friend, net worth $51 million. Then the friend said, bitch, you better secure the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And then, but how is she going to do that? And her response was, need daddy to choke me out. Right? So be an absolute whore to try to get this $51 million.
I can see a good reason why you want to hold that back from the lawyer. That's definitely not putting you in a good light.
No, because the allegation or accusations are around the rough sex went too far, right? Yep. I think that's what it was, right? And I believe you have some older texts that were out as well on that, right?
Yeah. So to circle back, what Rod or RJ just read was basically the conversation between her and her girlfriend when they were first. Discussing her first interacting with Trevor.
Yep.
And so here, the text message that was originally released when the trial first started were text messages between him and her after their first, date, I guess you can say. Hookup.
Smash.
And so, pretty much. And so they hooked up. And so afterwards, they then continued on their conversation. And so supposedly, after they first hooked up, there was a little rough sex going on, nowhere near as some of the photos that you saw later on after the second date. But this was after the first date. And so some of the text says, complimented her on how good she looks in pink. And then she says, the pink stocks stay on while cuddling, but they come off when it's time to choke me out. And so he was like, oh, you want to go out, huh? And she said, yes, because that was a game changer. He then followed up by, tell me more. And she said, never have been turned on in my life. Give me all the pain. Roar.
She wanted it, right?
She wanted it.
All rough.
And so she likes it rough. And so after they met up for a second date, supposedly they got, things happened. You saw the photos come out where she had bruised eyes, bruised lips, and everything, and you never got to see, the text message after that.
No, yeah.
However, one of the things that they did show, and this is something that she leaked herself, was after the first date, she did mention that, he did do some rough stuff for her, and so she took a picture. I don't know if it's a picture or video, I can't remember, but I know for sure there's a picture of her and Trevor sleeping.
Yep. No, so
sleeping on the bed, passed out, and her taking a picture with them the day of.
Because it's the day of. He's sleeping, and then she has no marks.
Yeah,
on her
no
face,
marks,
and she's smiling.
Yeah, and this is after.
Right after.
After that. Yeah. This was the first date or second date.
Second date.
So after the second date,
the day I think it's the day of the assault that she put down. It was the second time, right? I believe, right? Right.
Yeah. So she has pictures of her.
Video.
Her smiling, basically saying, I got it.
Yeah, and showing him
sleeping to prove it with the little sleep mask.
Yeah.
It shows her, and she's laughing. No bruises, nothing on her face, and stuff. And then, those accusations come out.
Yeah.
So after seeing those texts and seeing this stuff, it makes it really hard to, in my opinion, believe that this wasn't premeditated.
And also there's the other part of it where she tried to file a restraining order.
Yeah.
And she didn't get one. And from what we've heard and what people have been saying in media stuff is like it's pretty easy to get a restraining order. And I mean, doesn't mean like she was lying or whatnot, but if not getting one, that's kind of like makes you question it a little bit. Like if you can't get a restraining order, that must mean there's not like nothing there then, because it shouldn't be that hard to get, right? They're saying some people have mentioned some lawyers, for celebrities might be better at, blocking a restraining order, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that was the case for that, but that was also one part of it too that people were talking about as well. That made it a little fishy that she couldn't get a restraining order on him if he did all this, right?
Yeah. And we're not saying that, this doesn't happen. We're not saying that. But in this instance, I believe that she was out to get him for his bag.
Well, I mean, it seems like she was on the hunt. She had her hooks in, right? And she planned to wanted the rough sex she said, how am I going to do it? I need daddy to choke me. Pretty much planning out, I need him to beat me, choke me, and, her out, right? So, which she said that happened and try to get the secure that bag, apparently, right? So, just like Rob was saying, we're not saying like one thing sucks about this is if like when this stuff happens and you're questioning, there's some lying that might be going on stuff. It sucks for like the real victims that actually go through it, and for them to sit there and have to hear like somebody making up like an experience that they had to actually go through and not profit anything off of it and have to rebuild their lives, and then seeing somebody that does that and just for the money of it and not really having that, it just is horrible, right?
It makes everyone on both sides feel bad because number one, the real people going through that stuff, they're not going to be believed, and on the other side, the people that are innocent and just trying to get their name back in good grace aren't being believed either.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether you're accused or you were set free or the truth came out. People are still going to think that you're that kind of person. No matter what. Yeah,
exactly. And then then you have like it recently happened to Ariza, the punter or for the Bills, right, from San Diego State, who's not on an NFL team right now anyways, and he's been cleared.
You get cleared, but you can't come back to the league anymore. You can't come back to the league. Right? You lose your sponsors. You lose your name. Your name is really put in vain, and unfortunately, that's kind of the part of being on the males aspect is. That's one reason that they say you're guilty and proven innocent because you're going to be guilty even before the truth comes out.
Yeah, and like in these cases, it's like a lot of people get mad at, but like, oh well, if you're going to ruin this guy's life, you should be put in jail too.
Yeah,
right.
If you're found to be guilty of lying about it, there's something should happen to you.
Yeah, so I agree, but that's the part that makes it hard because like what's the like to figure out like for her, let's just say she has pictures of her like kind of with some bruises and stuff like that. How does that, how do you figure out if she was lying or whatnot? I think there's some stuff that adds up here now that kind of shows it. And then as well as I think there was a reporter, I forgot what her name was, but she was the one that was really driving the suspension and getting Bauer out before all the facts came out. And I think she actually had the medical records of this girl's, and it showed she did not fracture her skull or whatever she said she did, and she still ran with it and was still wanted him out of the league, right? That also came out, and I believe I forgot what her name was. I think she is like her Twitter is on private now and stuff like that. She's not like a big name or anything like that, but yeah, she was also one of the ones, and so she was driving the narrative, even though she had some of the medical records there, and not releasing it like, hey, there is no skull fracture or whatever it was, right? So, but either way, it goes back to like I said, if you're found lying, something probably should happen to you with that. It's just the balance of now is you don't want it to go to the point where somebody can do something to somebody and that person is too scared to say anything, because if they don't have the right evidence or the right lawyer to win, then they go to jail. Right. That's where it's like really tricky. Like you're just like, oh, you're so mad at something like this, but then you're like, but at the same time, you don't want to, somebody else who's a victim, right? So it's a hard one to really go on. It just sucks that there's people out there that do stuff like that just to get money, while the victims out there are the ones really suffering, and you're gonna make their suffering even worse because it's gonna be harder to believe.
Yeah, because if you're that girl that accused herself, what do you have to lose? You're not gonna lose your career. You're not gonna be going to jail for lying. In our opinion, about what happened and stuff, and you're gonna gain more clout, you're gonna gain more social media, you're gonna gain more followers, and stuff.
And she got $300K payout from her insurance company, but on top of that, guarantee you 100% right now, if she opened up an OnlyFans, she would probably be a millionaire.
Yeah, and he's having to pay millions and millions of dollars of lawyer fees, having to pay the lawyers to be able to gather the evidence and losing $1 million for not being in a.
He said that it's cost him more to fight for his name and pay the lawyer fee than actually what he would have paid her.
Yeah.
So he's over like that, right?
Yeah.
So she's, like you said, she's at the point where now, like, you can't really, like, hey, she can just play kind of like whatever about it, and like, I'm just moving on my life. I want to put this part behind me, right? After a lot of this stuff is coming out, but then now she has the clout from it, right? Knowing her, and she can use it for her benefit. Like I said, if she wanted to really make money off of it, she could go certain different ways with that too now, because she has that clout.
Because of who they were going against, or they were going after Trevor Bauer, that she had to pay for her lawyer, or do you think it was comped?
No, it was probably comped. I mean, I have no clue. Yeah. Honestly, I have no clue. I was just say comp, and I'm like, man, that's a lot of lawyer fees to get comp. So I don't know what it'd be. I mean, could a lawyer do it pro bono or whatever they call it, just to be like, there's a payday at the very end, and
whether you win or lose, we're gonna get paid because this is a big name celebrity. So he's either gonna settle and pay for it part of it, or we're gonna win the case. And
I think a lot of lawyers would probably jump on it just because in most cases, celebrities will settle just to get it done with, even if they're not guilty.
Yeah, and the lawyer gets their name out there.
Yeah, exactly. So the lawyer probably knows a good chance of that. It's not even going to go to court. They'll probably settle it out of court. But he's like, no, we're going to court. Yeah. So, but it probably a lot of times the celebrity would probably settle. So the lawyer would probably be like, hey, we're probably going to not even go to court. Yeah. Probably make some money off this real quick, right? Yeah. So,
crazy. And so I guess it's still not over from the sound of it. She's wanting to counter his defamation case.
No, true? I think it's done. It's settled now. And she did an interview on this platform. Remember, we were watching a little bit. I don't know who it was. I had to look at it. He probably has a pretty big platform, but I never heard of him. But he was interviewing her with another co-host who was a domestic violence survivor, and she seemed like she had doubts, questioning her a little bit, I would say. And she also brought up the restraining order, not getting a restraining order is kind of a little bit, fishy a little bit. Yeah. But she was like, they were talking about weird, stuff on it, and she's like joking around, smiling, kind of weird to do that after this came out from Trevor Bauer, and then you're on this podcast doing this, and they're talking about, some other acts doing.
More than likely, she got paid to come on that podcast.
Oh yeah. She probably got paid for sure to go on that podcast, I'm sure. But I mean, I don't think it was probably the smartest thing to do, to go straight on the podcast like that to talk about some of the other stuff they were talking about on there.
Yeah.
But I mean, at this point, like I said, she has that clout. She's probably going to be paid more. She will probably make a run on a bunch of podcasts as well now, probably. But she says she's trying to move on with her life now. And
I mean, if you are, stop going on these podcasts and talking about it. You just move on.
Yeah, I mean, she wants to get that bag, right? More money. So
the 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah,
she's milking it out.
Milk it. So I don't know. It's again sad all around, I would probably say. So
yeah,
for sure.
All about money.
All about money, right? And then then it stokes the whole, which sucks because then it always boils down to how we open it up, joking around, believe all women. It stokes that fire of men versus women, feminists versus other guys, right? Whatever it is, right? So and it doesn't always need to be that, right? And I feel like, especially how divisive or the division in America already is, you don't need more division between, especially genders, races, and everything like this, and this just stokes that fire, which sucks.
Yeah.
So, but it is what it is, I guess, man. So we'll see what Bauer does here, and I'm pretty sure we'll see Lindsey more on other stuff.
Yeah. So I said, not necessarily to believe all women, but get more context out of it. What do you think?
Yeah. So I think I think I absolutely believe all women. No. You don't do that. You don't believe all men. You don't do that either. You get context.
Yep.
And that's what we need to go back to, innocent until proven guilty. That's what this was built on, right?
Yeah.
So
hear both sides of the argument before you make your decision.
Yeah, exactly. And I think hearing both sides of arguments, not just even in this, it's in general in life, is a good way to go by life. Don't be one-sided or in an echo chamber.
Yep.
So, but, yep.